Hola clase. Today we're going to do something just a little bit different than what we have been doing. You're going to do just a small little project. It's going to go under a culture grade. It's going to be our very last thing we do with food. I'm going to explain it. I'm going to show you my example, and this will be the last thing, obviously, like I said, you do for this unit, and the last thing you'll do before spring break. So the project is El Proyecto is el Museo de Comida, so a food museum. And so my original thoughts were that we would do this in class and that you'd be able to check out everybody's, but that's not obviously going to happen. So what I'll probably do is take some of my favorite pictures and send those out so that way you can see them. But anyways, let me go through the instructions. Again, I'll show you my example and then we'll go from there. So the objective is to make and describe a traditional meal from a Spanish-speaking country. The catch, you will be creating your dish out of anything but the food that's actually in it. So just to clarify, you're not making this food out of food. You're making it out of something else. So here are your steps. Number 1, after doing some research, each person will pick a traditional food or dish from a Spanish-speaking country. You guys have already done the research, and if you need to look back, you can. If you want to just Google traditional Hispanic meals, you can do that as well. I'll show you my example. Super simple. But yeah, that's what you can do. You've already done plenty of research earlier in this unit. Number 2, if you have to look up a word, use word reference and then write the English meaning in parentheses after the Spanish. I'm actually going to change these instructions just a little bit, and that anything that you write other than the name of the food is going to be in English, and I'll explain that here in just a second. You're going to fill out a neat, accurate final copy of your research sheet, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. Number 4, you're going to create a reproduction of your meal out of any materials other than the food's real ingredients. So what will you use? Paper, Legos, candy. Your options are unlimited. Some of you are really good artists and maybe you want to draw and color it. I give an example here of Lego tacos. You could do something like that. I'll show you my example here in just a few minutes. But really your options are unlimited. You guys can do whatever creative thought comes to your mind and whatever you have in your home. Number 5, take a picture of your final project and you. This is super important. Make sure your face is there. Again, I'll show you my example in a second, but your project and you, and that's what you're going to submit to Google Classroom along with the next slide. So you will be graded on how well your work was done, and the accuracy of your research, which again won't be that hard, the creativity and effort on the food reproduction, and there's really not going to be any Spanish vocabulary, so really it's just going to be your creativity for the most part. So this will be what you fill out to submit. And so I put everything, I'll put all the translations for each line in parentheses. So the first line will be nombre del plato is the name of the dish. So again, this will be the only thing that's actually in Spanish. So for example, I'll show you mine. I chose gazpacho, and so that's what I would write on that first line. The second line, país de origen, means the country of origin. Where did it come from? Is it from Spain? Is it from Mexico? Is it from Colombia? Write the country right there. And the third section is los ingredientes, which is obviously ingredients. Just tell me what's in it. Again, you can just look up a recipe and you can write it in English. That's all you got to do. And then the last section where it says, no me gustaría probarlo porque es, I would or would not like to try it because, tell me if you would eat it or not. And again, you can do this all in English. And so keep that in mind. English. Okay. So make sure that you are thinking through that in English. All right, so here's a picture of, a real picture of gazpacho, which is the dish that I chose. I really like it. If you remember, this is a cold soup from Spain. Spain's pretty hot most of the time, and so they have this soup as it's a tomato soup, and it's very refreshing. And so this was the picture I based my project off of, and so I will show you what that looks like next. And here I am with my picture of gazpacho. So I just used construction paper and glue. It took me maybe 15 or 20 minutes to put this together. I'm pretty detail oriented, so it might have taken me longer than it would take any of you guys. But seriously, be really creative. Just put together something, like I said, other than the food, and show me what that food would look like. What I think I'm going to do is the most creative person from each, or most creative project from each class will get extra credit, and I'll have Mr. Bright judge that. So if you have any questions, let me know, but when you go to submit, make sure you submit that research sheet that has all of the ingredients and the recipe on it, and then also the picture of you and your project. If I don't have that picture of you and your project, it is not going to go in as a full grade. So please make sure that you do it. If you have any questions, please email me, and I'd be happy to answer. I hope you have a great spring break. When we get back from spring break, we're going to start a new unit, and so we'll go from there. Please stay safe. I miss seeing you all, and I'll talk to you later.